Hello everyone, I'm Liz Jones, hopefully you know that by now, and today we're going to be keeping up with the Joneses. Just wanted to say that this semester has been really great because there's a lot of details about my family that I didn't know. My parents are kind of private people, and I also interviewed my grandma, so it was just an interesting experience to learn different details from their past, as well as childhood events that I've forgotten about because my memory is absolutely disintegrated. And so my parents would talk about stories from when I was younger, and that was a really cool experience. So today I'm going to touch on my biography that I did on my mom and my dad because I learned the most about them from their interviews. My grandma, I knew all that stuff about her. And then a little bit about my autobiography and some of the things that I've found from my interviews, research, and Ancestry.com. So we're keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, that's just not us, but that's a famous group of people you might know. That looks a little more familiar. This is from a family trip we took last New Year's Eve. My mom's in this weird traveling mood where she doesn't want to be home for the holidays. She wants to be bebopping around. So we went to the Dominican Republic. That's me, my mom Cindy Jones, my dad Delmer Jones, who looks straight out of a country club magazine, and then my sister Sarah Jones. She's 19. Yeah, she's something else. But we're going to start with D-Town, which is Delmer Chauncey Jones. I threw his middle name in there because I just think it's fantastic. This is a picture that he just posted on Facebook, and he got a bunch of likes on it. He's super proud of it. So that's him. My dad was born July 9th, 1957 in Helena, Montana. That's right, Montana. There's not a lot of people from there, so it's kind of cool. And there's definitely not a lot of black people in there, so that's cool as well. And this is the house he actually grew up in. He's from a blue-collar family. His mom and dad, Oscar and Nosy Jones, such cute names. They both had a 6th grade and 8th grade education, so they weren't the most educated family. Definitely had some tough beginnings, and he had 5 brothers, all in this little house that's about the size of my kitchen and living room now. So that was kind of interesting when I went to Montana and I actually saw where he's from. The house only has 2 bathrooms, and apparently my grandma kept one bathroom literally to herself, so the boys weren't allowed in there, which I don't blame her because they were all football players. There was just a lot going on. So that was kind of cool to hear his stories about his childhood. My dad, as a kid, was a super outgoing person. He's the 2nd to youngest, but he's super responsible and just a natural leader in general. He was class president all through high school and then Russian club president, which is super random. He was Russian, which is weird. But one of the biggest things that he was a leader in was football. His whole early life can be defined by that sport. All his brothers pretty much played, and that was super important in his life, and I'll get into it a little bit later, but this is him playing football, looking pretty legit in number 12, which is my favorite number because of him. And one thing with football and him is just the importance of teamwork and family. He calls on his teammates from high school and college football all the time. Every holiday they're calling each other, making weird noises on the phone that no one else understands. Weird nicknames, his nickname is Nipsey. I don't know why. Very odd. But he loves his football team from back home, and it's just really endearing to see that. He was a hard worker on and off the field when he was growing up, and most of that is because his dad died when he was only 14. And this is actually what I found on Ancestry.com, which was super weird, and it's his death certificate. And so his dad fell into a pot of molten liquid or something at a construction site, and so my dad was at football practice when he found out, and his coach was the one that told him. So it says accidental incineration. I'm that's super weird, but I thought it was kind of cool. I saved it to my desktop. I don't know, it's kind of weird, but I thought it was cool. And then that's a picture of my grandma Mosey and me. I look giant because she was a very little lady, but she died when I was 4 or 5, so I never got to really know that side of his family and his parents, but he talks about them more now that he's getting older, so that was kind of cool. And especially during my interview, he talked about them more. And then in terms of football and my dad's early life, he went on to Montana State University, where he got a full ride scholarship. College would not have been an option if he didn't have that, so that was super important to him. He actually got inducted into the Hall of Fame at his school a couple years ago, so that's his biggest accomplishment. His picture's all over the school, which is kind of cool. But we have to take him down a couple notches. After football, he actually went on, or after Montana State, he went on to play for the Dallas Cowboys for 2 years, but he got a back injury that ended all that. And so that was cool too. I knew that already, but he talked a little bit more about that. And then he went into work in corporate America for like 25 years for General Electric, where he traveled all over the place. China, can't imagine my dad in China. That would just be like a bowl in a China shop, but literally. Yeah, he just talks about like his international travel a lot, how much he learned, but he wasn't home very often until we moved to Ohio, and my parents opened a dry cleaner, and that's what he does now. My parents own a dry cleaner, which is super random, but he puts as much energy and work and determination that corporate America is in his dry cleaner, so he's very into it. And he's just a great guy. I mean, he's definitely my role model because he's strong both physically and mentally. He's super caring, and he knows a lot about stocks and money, and he watches like the Money Channel all the time and teaches me stuff, or at least tries to. And from this process, I learned a couple things about him, like his role model is his football coach, Sonny Holland. That's actually the football coach that told him that his dad had passed away and told him like to get home and all that stuff and helped him get a football scholarship. So that's kind of his father figure in his life. He also told me he prays every day. We don't go to church or anything, so when he said that, I was like, wow, like that's kind of cute. He has his own little faith like to the side. So that was kind of cool to hear. And then lastly, I asked him what his plans of retirement are because he is 60 or 61. So you should be like thinking about retirement at that age, and he's just not. But he said he would retire and get like a retirement job of being like a business consultant for other people and take more Facebook pictures like that in a suit. So yeah, that's my dad. Next is Cindy Jones. This is me and her looking cute. I look like a little baby bear. And that's this summer we went to a wedding in Niagara Falls where my mom is from. She was born March 11th, 1957 in Buffalo, New York. And again, she comes from humble beginnings as well. Her parents didn't have a lot of money. Her mom didn't work at all. Like she hasn't worked a day in her life, but my grandpa, her dad, worked in the same construction company for 43 years, which you don't hear about that anymore. And then he owned a farm, so just really hardworking family. And she has 3 younger brothers. She's definitely the oldest, and her youngest brother is 12 years younger than her. And my mom just talked about how she basically raised my Uncle Paul because my grandparents had like a super big partying, like alcohol problem. And she actually said one of her earliest childhood memories is they were all playing in the backyard, and her mom went in to like get a drink or something, and her little brother fell into like this hole in their backyard and started drowning. And my mom was 6 and she had to like go and scoop him out and get help. And so I always joke that that's the reason like why she threw us in swimming classes when we were like 1, because she didn't want that to happen. So she was just a super responsible person as a kid, kind of a quieter person, which is kind of where I get like my softer side, I feel like, because my dad was like out there being a football player and my mom was more reserved. She eventually graduated high school. That's pretty much her highest level of education, but she was a really successful real estate agent. And when she met my dad, she moved around. They've lived in Illinois. I was born in Michigan, California, and now Ohio. So she's very flexible and just a really kind and giving person. And I asked her what her biggest accomplishment was, and she says having kids and like a successful family. And I thought that was really special because she actually didn't have kids until she was 38 with me and 40 with my sister. So that's a lot later than people usually have kids. And she said that's the one thing she shouldn't have done, but she doesn't regret because again, there's risks that come with like a later pregnancy, but it was just the right time for my parents and for her in terms of, I was surprised they even had kids because they went to like Hawaii and did all this bougie stuff. My mom was like, I'm like, I don't know what that life was. But the second we came in there, like it all changed. But saying that that was her biggest accomplishment, I thought was really cool. And again, she's getting ready for retirement as well. If you asked my mom to retire tomorrow, she would. And so my dad could just sit at the cleaners and she'd be off traveling somewhere, but she wants to travel more, garden, and then she said volunteer at the library, and I was like, that couldn't be cuter. So she's really sweet. Then we have me. This is when I peaked. I'd say probably that one. That's a picture of us when we went to the wedding this summer, when my hair was cooperating. And yeah, that's just absolutely precious, a little pot of tulips. But I was born July 6, 1997. And again, this was my peak cuteness. And my autobiography, I talk a little bit about just a bunch of different things. My childhood, not my earliest memory, but the earliest thing that my parents told me about was my first birthday party in California, where my parents invited 500 of their closest friends and had like a life-size Barney person come, and it was just super excessive. And my dad grilled hot dogs and hamburgers for everybody. I thought that was really cool. I obviously don't remember that. That's why I was like that. But I thought that was really cool, and they've done that stuff like that ever since then. They're the most caring and providing parents. And then I've lived in California, Michigan, and Ohio, and now we live in Medina, Ohio. I've been there for like 18 years. And that's just the best place to grow up. It's super sweet. I had a great school experience. I've always played sports, like volleyball, basketball, and track were my main ones in high school. I was voted like top 10 most memorable in my class out of like 500 kids. So that's like probably gonna be my biggest accomplishment to date. And I just had a lot of great friends and felt prepared going into college. And then I came here to Mount Union, where it's just been a whirlwind experience. And like now that we're coming to an end, I'm definitely more sentimental and like thinking about my experience here. And my first 2 years were busy. I played basketball. I was an RA, a preview guide, all that fun stuff. And then my junior year was definitely a time of transition because I quit basketball, so I'm a retired athlete. My two best friends that I made had transferred away. What else happened? And my sister was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which I don't really talk a lot about in my autobiography, but it's just been a time. So junior year was interesting and a little lonely, but things definitely got better. And one of the things that I did was I got more involved with the Black Student Union on campus. I think I was feeling like a little lost in my identity. As you can see, my parents are Black and my mom is 100% German, so having that dual, like, biracial personality was very confusing to me. And I lived in an upper middle class neighborhood where I didn't have any Black friends or anything like that. My dad's from Montana, so he doesn't have any culture whatsoever. So coming here, I definitely learned more about myself. Like Renee was saying, like, when you're tall, yeah, you gain a lot of attention, but like, also when your parents look different than everybody else and people will constantly ask you, like, hey, like, is that your mom? I'm like, yeah. Like, I have the exact same face, we just look a little different. Definitely had to get more comfortable with that, and who knew would have to wait till like college to get that way, but BSU definitely like saved that part of my identity and made me more confident in myself. And in general, Mount has been a great experience. I'm looking forward to going to grad school, hopefully. And then I don't know where, when, or how that's going to happen, but I want to do speech language pathology to help other people. And I think my desire to help others comes from those people on the right. They're just fresh. And that's it. Thanks.